Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Welcome to House of Coppola, the latest entry in the Houselights series. I am one of your hosts, Count Castle Junkie, and with me as always are my loyal servants, Renfield of the House, Tristan Riddell, and the man who makes the castle lights all work in freaky ways, Dr. Sci-Fi, Darren Moser. Enter freely and of your own will, and leave some of the happiness which you bring. And I'll stop doing that voice now. So we are...
Thank you so much for that introduction.
I was wondering which one of us was going to go for the really bad English accent.
Dracula's in the castle. But
They were draining the life out of me. I almost couldn't take it.
It was totally bogus, man.
Sorry, I'm trying to work these hydraulic lifts in the bed to bring people up and down. It's really complex, you guys. You don't even know.
Can you imagine the stagehands? As everybody can guess, we're here in the House of Coppola talking about Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Gary Oldman as Dracula. And we are unrestrained, unfettered, having a lot of fun here in the Houselights series. I'm John Mills. That's Tristan Riddell. That's Darren Moser. Guys, we're here on the Nerd Party Network. Everybody go to thenerdparty.com. Check out all of the shows that we have there. thenerdparty.com/contact is where you can get in touch with us. Give us any ideas, directors you want us to cover, combinations that you want us to approach the way we did with House of Spielberg. And you can also reach out to us on the social medias at Join Nerd Party on Twitter and look for the Nerd Party on Facebook and Instagram. So as you can tell, I am extremely excited.
You said you were going to do it
listening
anymore.
at home, for those of you listening at home, he's got the hands. He's doing the hands.
I can't help it.
Every time that voice comes up, just know that John is doing the hand motion.
I needed to get into character. That's the thing. I'm a method actor. But I, as you can tell, I'm extremely excited to talk about one of my guiltiest pleasures on earth, which is this movie. This is a movie that, once again, being the old man, I have this long history with it, this push and pull of emotional attachment. But I got to ask the inevitable question of the youngest of the undead here. Darren, we'll go with you first. You didn't encounter this one in the movie theater, I'm guessing. You didn't.
No.
Head into the theater.
Yesterday was the first time I watched this movie.
Wow. You went, was it 25 years now without seeing this gem at all?
92 to, thereabouts.
Yeah. Wow. That is something else. I can't wait to find out. I'm guessing that you watched the new 4K remaster transfer, or did you settle for a streaming version? Just because we love to get into these technical things. What was your weapon of choice here for watching?
A streaming version.
All right. And Tristan, I think you had said that you had seen pieces of this before, but not the whole thing.
Just bits and pieces that you would catch on TV in passing. Like I was talking about this with Darren before we hit record, where like I knew of the red suit, I knew of the weird bun heads.
Yeah,
everyone knows like the Simpsons
weird
episode.
Yeah, the Simpsons episode. Basically, what I knew of it, I knew from the Simpsons. Also, like I saw the succubus scene with Keanu, where he's like, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
So I knew it was a tour de force performance from Mr. Keanu, who I really enjoy. I'm a big fan of Keanu, but you don't have to be a fan of his acting in order to be a fan of Keanu Reeves.
Well, I definitely think that this performance from Keanu Reeves, which has been, I think, justly joked about through time. This is definitely an example of a sort of, he was trying something. He was being adventurous. He was trying to stretch out and break out from the mold that he had been cast in by this point. I just think it was a little ambitious for him by this point.
At whatever that point, yeah.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I really think that probably this is one that he wishes he had back, an opportunity to redo it at this point in his career, because I just don't think he was ready for Coppola to tease out a Kurtz-like performance of his journey through Dracula's castle. um, so I did see this in the movie theaters. The first time I ever saw it, I actually screwed up so royal. It's an embarrassing story to tell. I was there with my friend. We were running very late. We were like 15 minutes late for the movie by the time we got our tickets. You couldn't buy them ahead of time then, kids. We got our tickets and it's like, which one is it in? Oh, there it is. There it is. And we go in and we sit down, and keep in mind, we're a solid 20 minutes late for the movie by this point. And we sit down and we're in the middle of a scene and we're like, okay. All right. I guess we can't find our friends. We'll just ask them about it. Right. And it's with dawning horror, no pun intended, since this is supposed to be a horror movie, that when the movie ended very quickly thereafter, we went, oh no, right? Like we're getting into it. We're like, okay, this got. So I actually saw the end of this movie before I saw the rest of it. But the thing is, it kicked off a fascination with me. I read the book Dracula once every year or two now. The original one by Stoker. Not strangely enough, there was a novelization of this movie. You would think, but it's based on a book. Yes, there was.
So strange.
And they had two different covers, and they're both Dracula, and one had the movie poster cover, and the other one had just a plainer cover. And I grabbed the one with the movie poster cover, and my brother was with me, and he goes, hold on a second. I think that's a novelization. And I'm like, well, that's the same as, what happened. He's like, no. We had to flip it over. I was like, oh, this is based on the movie, but this is the book the movie's based. Okay, that's weird. But yeah, so this movie is responsible for my lifelong love affair of reading the book Dracula by Bram Stoker. So I got to get to you, Darren. I think I've tipped my hand, my lifelong fascination with this movie. Your first impressions coming out of this film, where do you see Coppola as, where has he tried to go with this? Where did he try to go? Was he trying something new? Was he in a comfort zone? Where did you see him end up with this?
So I think he was trying something old, because from the beginning, I kind of had a double take of, wait, this was made in the 90s, right? Because it felt like a 70s film. It felt very, like, not cheap, but just simple, and I was trying to get a beat on that. I'm like, okay, why does this feel like it's a movie, but it didn't have a cinematic grandeur of what I was kind of expecting from like a 90s film? And looking into it after watching it, the fact that he basically, for all the special effects, did in-camera practicality, rear projection, shadow effects, miniatures. And that makes way more sense now on looking back, because I think he was trying to constrain himself to what would have been available, I don't know, what in another decade, but not the 90s for sure. And it definitely had that feel. Like, that didn't make it a bad movie, but it all out of the gate, though, I was kind of like, is this someone's ambitious college program, or is this like I was trying to get a beat on, like, because we had just seen, Godfather 3, and this did not have that cinemagnitude. It was,
I like that. Cinemagnitude. That's awesome. That is a great neologism. Definitely trademark that.
So that's how I felt on first watch.
What about you, Tristan? Now that you've seen the whole package, I will admit that I glimpsed Tristan's review on Letterboxd where he said, "What did Kessel Junkie just make me watch?" ? So I'm guessing it's not the most positive reaction that you had with this film.
Ever since we started this show, ever since we started Houselights, I don't rate I don't rate the movie in Letterboxd until after we talk about it, just because I don't want to show my hand. So, I kind of want it to just be a little bit, not a mystery, but just kind of, I don't want you guys to know which way I lean, so that it's a little bit more dynamic conversation. With this one, I could not help myself because I watched this with my wife, and this was, I think, the first movie we watched since our second kid was born. And so we had to split it up into two parts, and it just, the entire, like, we were both like really lacking in sleep. we were slap happy, and the entire time we were watching it, we're like, what is this movie? Like, what is going on? Like, why does he care about Lucy? And like, what is Keanu's accent? We could barely understand Gary Oldman. Like, there was a point where I thought I was going to have to turn on subtitles, and like the constant kitschy transitions. Good Lord. Like, it was just it just like Sarah and I had a great laugh, and it was a fun watch. But when we ended the film, we were just like, good Lord, that is such a terrible film.
That's really interesting. I'll tip my hand. I do not think it's a terrible film, but
I went on. Okay, like after we said that to each other, I went online and I went on Letterboxd, and it has 4-star reviews, 4.5-star reviews, like tons and tons of those reviews, and like people are saying like it's campy to the max, and Coppola knew what he was doing, and like they went over the top.
The greatest romance story of all time. It's like,
yeah, it was just like, it was really weird, and I was like, no, Batman and Robin is campy. This was something else.
It is I agree, it is something else, but I think that something else is good, because this is something where, again, a filmmaker setting a limitation for themselves to say, I am only going to use technology that was available at the time that Dracula was first adapted. I'll use modern refinement of the techniques, but this is an old school movie made with modern, for the time, technology. And I think that there is a true, I think that I see more passion for what he's doing with this coming across in the film than I saw in The Godfather Part 3, which I think his heart's much more in this than it was in The Godfather Part 3. And we all know after our conversation last time that he wasn't really, Godfather Part 3 was sort of like a conditional thing. And it's like, okay, fine, I'll give you a Godfather movie, but I got to get this is so I can do something I really care about. And I think that there is, I don't come at it as campy. I come at it as, it's very over the top. It's very melodramatic. And so I think that the style actually works for something that is the story of somebody chasing their love who's been reincarnated after 4 centuries, in another form. The hurdle I have with it is the vestige of chasing his reincarnated love belongs more to the Mummy movie from the 1930s.
I was just thinking of the Mummy, right? That does it in a much better tone.
And I think that that is why you see this sort of confused motivation for Dracula, because in the book, and I think that you can see that very much probably in what remains relatively untouched from James Hart's original script here, or relatively untouched, I should say, is Dracula simply a force of nature in the book. He's an unholy force of nature. He has no love in his heart. He doesn't exist in any positive fashion. And so I think that grafting on the whole Mina love story thing feels weird because, like it's one of those things where it's like he's this undead bastard, but then he's, in a sense, he's sort of like cheating on his love of 4 centuries with Lucy, but it's okay because he's Dracula. And it's like, oh, well,
I want to talk about Lucy.
Weird.
Let's talk about Lucy. I want to talk about Lucy because I'm genuinely confused by this. Why on earth did he care about Lucy? Why did he go after Lucy? Why did he change Lucy? Why did he ultimately want to kill Lucy? What was
he trying
the
to make a new
motivation?
bride? Because like not a love, but I don't know. Yeah.
No, I think that in the context of the film, it's simply Lucy is who he first sees. She wanders out during the storm and he sees her. And that does come straight from the book, is that Dracula has this pull, this force that draws Lucy out. And Mina does. Yeah. But Mina does go out and see her out there and sees, a shadowy creature. She doesn't see a very uncomfortable Cinemax level sex scene, but she
with
does.
A wolf?
Yeah, that one that one definitely crosses some strange line that I don't think we're ready to talk about really. But it's supposed to be that he sees Lucy's sort of the way that Laurie Strode is in the original Halloween. She's just the first victim that the evil force sees and is like, oh, you, guess what? You drew the short straw. I see you. And I think that's one of those things where Dracula is supposed to be an external force acting on. Now, I think, and I, Darren, I'll kick this over to you. Do you think that this movie works better if you extract the Mina love story thing and just make Dracula that evil exterior force without a personal motivation to go after these people?
Sorry, I'm to keep the damsels in distress straight. So Mina, well, what was weird to me is I didn't realize that Winona Ryder played Elisabetta in the beginning part until the end credits showed her name under that. So I didn't realize that it was kind of a, like you said, like a mummy, like reincarnate, I've been waiting for you to be my true love again. So I didn't get that piece at all until the very, very end. But I see what you're saying about, him being a force of nature and trying to graft on this romance. But not to keep comparing it to the Mummy, but I feel like the Mummy does that particular type of story much better.
Agree.
Like, it's simpler. Like, we get exactly what Imhotep wants to do, and we get why we have to stop him. And maybe in Dracula, we're spending so much time just trying to figure out, there's so many pieces thrown together. We have the boxes of dirt, and we have the guy in the insane asylum, and we have the Keanu Reeves character going mad, and we have the brides, and then Van Helsing showing up. And I swore that Anthony Hopkins was the priest in the very beginning. I thought that was Anthony Hopkins as well. So I'm like,
it was.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm like, so does that mean he became immortal at the same time and has been chasing Dracula throughout the centuries? Because that's the vibe I got. If that is the same person.
I don't think it was the same person. I think it was just a cinematic thing where Coppola was going to use the same actor.
Okay. Yeah, in that regard, I don't think they should have done that then. I don't think they should have had him play something. Because Gary Oldman
didn't bother
is the
me,
same
but in
character.
Retrospect, they totally... Yeah, I think you're absolutely... I didn't mean to cut you off, Darren, but you're absolutely right because...
You can cut me off if you're saying I'm absolutely right. That's totally fine.
Having the whole reincarnated storyline with Winona Ryder, why on earth would you use the same actor in that same time period? Yeah, I think that absolutely causes questions. John, if I would like to answer your question about the Mina storyline and everything like that, I think you could have had your cake. I think Coppola could have had his cake and eat it too if he cut out the Dracula, the Mina motivation, but it was still his Achilles heel, where when she goes to when all of the guys and Keanu and Mina go to the castle to kill Dracula, I think that would have made still a cool final scene where he sees Mina and goes, whoa, oh my gosh, I just slipped into Keanu there. Whoa.
Yeah.
If he saw Mina and suddenly had flashbacks to Elisabetta, and then that was her in to kill him. And that's how she knew she could save Keanu and the other guys and everything like that, by utilizing that against him, but not have him obsess over her, not even know about her existence until the climax, because I felt like it was just a huge waste of time. It was really awkward. There was a lot of stuff that just didn't make sense. There was, it just felt drawn out. It's just it felt very muddled. It just killed the story dead, in my opinion. It took up too much of the story.
Well, I in the book, and I know that this is such a crutch, but again, this is something where I think you can definitely see that there was a version of this script that was straight from the book, and then it got tweaked, right? Because in the book, Dracula does go after Mina, but he goes after Mina as a way to punish the people that are trying to drive him out of London. He gives his motivation earlier on, when he's first talking with Jonathan Harker, Esquire, sitting there, with the funky shadows thing going on, and he's like, "I wish to share in your life, your death," and he's and the shadow is framing London and everything, is the whole idea is Dracula's motivation is he's sort of tapped out Transylvania. He wants to go somewhere vibrant and renew himself. He's sort of hit the stasis point where it's like, okay, I'm old dude ruling the countryside. Okay, you know what? Let me go slaughter a new country. And it's like, it's one of those things where that motivation is there. And I think, to your point, yeah, it gets muddied by mixing it with the Mina reincarnation storyline. I also think that there is likely a cut of this movie early on where that prologue sequence happened when Anthony Hopkins was doing his research, because that's a flashback, and it's supposed to be, and it's still constructed this way, that Van Helsing discovering that it's Dracula that they're after is the big climactic reveal. Oh my gosh, I figured out who it is. And you see that conveyed by Hopkins. He's like, the devil I've chased my whole life, he's here. This is the guy that I know I need to kill. And I think that it's just, Darren, do you think that if they took that and they moved it so that it was more of instead of trying to punch the audience in the face and grab them with that big, exciting opening, if they move that to the center of the film where Hopkins is doing the research, do you think it works better?
Yeah, as so far as that also probably would have meant introducing Van Helsing sooner. Like, it was very much and Van Helsing's in this movie. Like, I didn't realize that was coming. And like you said, with, what is Dracula's endgame? What is his big plan? I mean, we have the boxes of dirt and we have all the different properties he's buying up. And I would have liked more time in London where he's there. And like, we see him jump from house to house and they find one and burn it down, but he's got 20 more, but we had like pretty much none of that. And that would have been, I think, a better spot. And then I was kind of confused also where it's like, okay, and now he's going back. Like it looked like they found one house, burned it down, and then he left and sailed all the way back. And it's like, oh, okay. I thought he was, like you said, there to stay. And then the final showdown would have been in London or something.
Well, the final showdown does, they do chase him back to Transylvania in the book. Again, this is a fairly faithful adaptation. It's the most faithful screen adaptation of the book. It's just that they grafted on some things that aren't there. Because even though the book is Dracula and Dracula is a character, it's more about the people. And Dracula is this evil antagonist that's harassing them all rather equally, as opposed to it's the story about Dracula and then everybody else surrounding him. And the focus is different.
That's true.
And so, Tristan, I want to get back to something, though, because I don't know that I've ever encountered somebody who had trouble understanding Oldman in the beginning. Like, I've always enjoyed that over the topness of his performance, obviously. And I think that, do you think they went too over the top? Do you think they should have reined Oldman in?
I think like when he's big, when he's larger than life, I can understand him. Like when he's very presentational, I have no problem understanding him. But when he gets calm and sultry and soft, he still keeps that accent, but he mumbles his way through. It's just like, I love you so much. Like it's just like, yeah, and it's just that when he's like wooing Winona Ryder in all of her see-through gowns. But like, yeah, when he's just like, it's like sincerely. D. Like it's over the top. I can understand what he's saying, but it's not until when he gets like more human when I start to understand him a little less.
Interesting. In terms
and I understood Tenet, so my ears work just fine.
Oh yes, no, I listen. I'm not questioning that at all. I'm
just messing with you.
Oh, I know. It's one of those things where this is kind of Oldman really breaks onto the scene thanks to this. And what I'm struggling with is it's been such a part of my knowledge of Oldman, and I know it's not introducing Gary Oldman. I'm saying like he becomes sort of like that household name recognition.
It was kind of a big break
right.
for him.
He's an actor. He's in stuff. I know he played Sid Vicious, all of those sorts of things. But for a larger audience, this becomes, Gary Oldman, right? Where he becomes that signature name as opposed to cool guy doing unique parts, sort of stuff. This is the guy that I expect to see as Drexel in True Romance. This is the guy that I expect to see in The Professional. This is that guy. This is where I think Oldman sort of kicks into that ubiquitous portion of his career. And so I question whether, Darren, am I just blinded by the fact that I've lived with this performance for so long that like I've lost touch with what might not work about it?
Well, it's strange you say that because it's not one performance, John. It's 6 performances. So,
I would have loved to have seen that pitch meeting with Francis and the studio about like how he was going to portray Dracula. Darren, Francis, I hear you have a movie for me.
Oh, it's going to be a great movie. So first, we got a red suit, like the most muscle-bound red suit you've ever seen. Like it could be a silhouette. You're going to love it. And then more red, like in the cloak with the little double head buns on top. Great.
Now, does he only wear red? Is he?
No. Next time we're going to see him, he's going to be a weird, like ape man wolf thing that tries to get the girl.
So the wolf is trying to get the girl.
Yes.
Now that's upsetting. Now, is that where the transformation ends?
Well, he also looks totally normal, like a guy off the street, with a little Van Dyke and glasses, because I guess he can't read. And really long hair.
Is he like half man, half wolf? Does he keep
full
the
man,
wolf
full man. Then he's gonna go full bat because we got to have the bat, and then he might turn into rats because that could happen.
Wait. So like, does the bat turn into rats, or does he turn into rats?
The Batman turns into the rats, and then they all scurry away.
Okay, can they fall dramatically?
In the most dramatic way possible. And then we're gonna go back to the pale white guy, but he's going to look like death, like he's about to die. So we're just going to call it a whole nother. We're going to win a lot of Oscars on this. Like makeup is in the bag for sure.
And what are you going to call this?
Dracula.
Okay. All right. Here's $50 million.
Hey, it made money. It made a lot of money. No,
listen. Coppola comes up and he says, I didn't even really want to do Godfather Part 3, and I got like a bajillion Oscar nominations. Could you maybe just let me do this? Yeah, okay, that's fine. Like, seriously. Like,
no.
But,
and he shot in a lot of sound stages, which, I mean, he kept it. It's a really modest budget for what it made. It made money.
That was a very unique feel. I'll definitely give it that. Like, with the trains that you could tell were miniatures, and the mountainscapes that you could tell were matte paintings and perspective play and everything like that. Like you could tell that's what it was.
Or the opening shot with the silhouettes and the like. It was really hard to get a bead on like what is the visual tone of this movie because it kept changing, which isn't a bad thing. It just makes it hard to grasp.
I think that I'm glad you guys talked about the design work because of course. Like that's one of the signatures of this film that everybody has enjoyed. Did you enjoy the design work, Tristan?
I did a lot. I thought the production design was great. I thought the costumes were great. The makeup was absolutely stellar, and the look and feel of it, and some of the wire work, like with the succubus and the wives and everything like that, like was insanely cool. And absolutely.
The wives, I do enjoy the fact that Coppola decided to simply shoot in reverse, basically. Right. Like he
turn the camera on the wall and shoot reverse, the simplest of tricks.
Right, but it's extremely effective to give that sort of uneasy sense without a lot of post-production work. And
And Monica Bellucci was quite a surprise when she popped up.
Yeah, you know.
I was like, wait, that's Monica Bellucci.
Yeah, you know, everybody's got to start somewhere. And it's but I do think that one of the things that makes this this film work so well, and I'm prepared to get slaughtered on this one because the way this conversation is going, I guess I'm wrong on a lot of things. But I actually think, and God forgive me, I'll never pronounce this guy's name correctly. Wojciech Kilar, the guy who did the score. I think even though the way they spot it, it gets repetitive at certain points. But I think that the score for this, I remember one of the first things I did first time I had an opportunity was get the CD for this score. And it's remained an absolute favorite since 1992. I listen to this score on a semi-regular basis because I think it is just fantastic. So Darren, are you in Camp Kilar with me? Or do you think that this score wasn't all that?
No, I like the score. Just the narration and it builds it has its own presence for sure. Although I will admit, I think the most interesting thing about watching this now in 2021 versus in 92 is it was such the predecessor for so much that came after it. And I've seen a lot of those pieces. So it's like watching all of the space spin-offs and then watching Star Wars. You're like, oh, that's where that came from, or that's where that trope came from. So, of course I think of like the Hugh Jackman Van Helsing, there's a lot of, which I'm not saying, is a great movie, but it's a Dracula movie, and you have just, the Simpsons episodes, you have all the other things that are birthed from this, but to see the original and how, it definitely left an impression. That's to be sure. I can see, how people, rallied to it. But, Jurassic Park wasn't out yet. So,
Yeah, we still had a year to go till Jurassic Park. So we needed some soundscape to fill the gap until
But
then.
I did like the score. I think the score was well done. And just, again, just that eerie vibe. And honestly, I didn't know what was going to happen next. I'm like, what's going to, they're going to run down the stairs. Oh, and then Van Helsing shows up, and now we're riding back. And then Keanu Reeves is going to start going gray. And
then perpetually more and more gray as the movie goes
which they
on.
never kind of, obviously something happened, but they never talk about it.
Again, that's another vestige of the book. That they retain, but the
was
thing
his
is,
like life essence being sucked away or something.
He's got gray hair when Mina rejoins with him because his life essence, if you will, like he's been put through so much that his hair has turned gray. And I think that one of the things that is and we'll get back to the score in a second, but like one of the things that I think is a fair enough criticism, and I think that I sort of get at too when I talk about, could the opening have worked better in the center, is the whole entire story in the book is just supposed to be a bunch of journals and news clippings that they gathered from everybody and put in order. And they even say at the very end, there's an afternote from Van Helsing saying, we're not asking you to believe us. This is all of our stories put together, just presented for you to read.
So kind of almost like a found footage, but in journal form. Interesting. Right. I didn't realize that was the format of the story.
Yes. And I will sing the praises of the book to the heavens and back. It's one of my favorites of all time. But coming back to the score, Tristan, considering you hated everything else about the movie, did you also hate the score, or are you a little more forgiving of it?
I'm having a hard time remembering the score.
You're kidding.
No, I wish I was. I know this is bad podcasting, but I was laughing so much at the other of the rest of the film. I didn't have time to notice the music.
Oh, you wound me. You're breaking my heart, man. This is
Love Song of the Vampire by Annie Lennox.
By Annie Lennox.
Yep. Hey, every big movie needed a song on the end credits. We all know this, right? I mean, that's the old movie formula. And it's absolutely freaking bizarre that this movie has a single that they could release by Annie Lennox. It's like, why with this movie would you have a song over the end credits like that? That I think is a very classic sort of old school Hollywood mentality for the blockbuster, where it's like, okay, yeah, Francis, we got this. This is big. This is big. We're going to get Annie Lennox, and she's going to do a song about it, and we're going to put it over the end credits. Well, that's not really what I'm going for, guys. Yeah, but we're signing your checks. All right, fine. That's cool.
And we're going to have one of the Happy Meal toys be when Gary Oldman slices open his own nipple and blood just gushes out. It can be ketchup. It can be ketchup.
Yeah. Well, no, I was personally looking for the play set for Lucy's death, where you hit a button and a bunch of Kool-Aid just shot out from the sides in a big symbolic act. Because that is also one of the things that I think is strangely enjoyable about the movie, is the fact that there are those moments that are so overboard as to be endearing. Because there's almost like the movie seems of two minds, to either be devoted to the idea of we're setting this in a real world where these things can happen, which is the way the story is told, or we're going to go with a more abstract sort of approach to things, like Lucy's exploding blood bedroom, that's going to get a point across, but isn't obviously supposed to be taken literally. So it's like these two impulses seem in conflict throughout the entire movie.
And I think that's one thing that really bothered me, was that conflict, where I wanted them to pick a direction. I wanted them to either go serious, make this a serious film, or make it campy, like make it abstract, like make it crazy. Give me the Tarantino violence, give me the Tarantino blood and everything like that, or make it realistic. And I felt like they were trying to straddle the line, and they ended up doing a slip on the ice.
Interesting. What about you, Darren? Do you think that they successfully kept things in tension, or do you think that things were just out of balance through the movie?
I definitely wouldn't say the movie was balanced. I mean, again, like I said, it was hard to kind of know what was coming next. Like, and maybe if it had been more of that kind of Van Helsing's journal, like from the get-go, like, because in the beginning, he's just the voice in the sky narrator. Like, I didn't realize it, we don't realize it's Van Helsing till much later. And then again, using him as the priest also kind of, throws it a little. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. We love talking about how to make movies better, but I think your suggestion of moving the prologue into more of the middle, I think introducing Van Helsing a little earlier as more of like a framing device, because that was the other interesting thing. As soon as he rolls on, he is the man with the answers. Like he's got a copy of the script in one of those books. He knows exactly what's coming.
And Anthony Hopkins did such a phenomenal job.
Oh, he did a great job. Yeah.
He was amazing. Like that scene when he's having dinner with Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder, and she's like, did she experience any pain? Or like, was it painful? It's like, yes, we tortured her, cut off her head, and then buried her. Of course it was painful.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she looks upset. She's like, I mean, yeah, she's fine. She's fine.
Well, I think one of the things that's interesting as well is that Coppola definitely is still working out some of his issues with the church and with faith, because he sets up Dracula's origin story as this supernatural rebellion against God himself.
That's not how crosses work. You stab them, they do not bleed and turn you into Dracula. Like, that is not how that happens.
This one did.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Who knows?
And apparently it healed at the end. I read that, and I'm like, I missed that. I must have blinked because I missed the healing of the cross.
The cross heals itself when Dracula dies. There's the implication that he's found peace and that it's restored.
I did get that implication when he ended up in the mural above.
But the thing is, what's odd about it, and again, this gets to that muddy motivation sort of vibe to it, as well as the conflicted thing is, the angels crying blood and the candles bleeding and the cross bleeding, all very symbolic. Although in the original cut of the opening, the blood keeps pouring. You actually see Elizabeta's entire body submerged in the blood. And yeah, it's
that's
like
a
really
lot
wild.
of blood.
It's a heck of a lot of blood.
And then the elevator opens and the blood comes out, and there's blood everywhere.
And it's, it is one of those things where, you have an opening that feels, again, like it's got that tension between realism and symbolism. And I think that Coppola is still working out those sorts of things with this origin story about, the rebellion against God, the, that religious tenet being the thing that snaps him after he's, done all this stuff, in his words, defending God's church and stuff like that. But it's really interesting because it's grafted on there, but never really catches on again until the end. And then when the cross does heal, the big question I have, and I'll toss this to you, Tristan, because I'm going to give you as many opportunities as possible to curb stomp this, but Dracula doesn't really do anything to redeem himself in any way. It's simply that he gets defeated, and then he's like, "Yeah, okay, let me die." And then it's almost like light shines on, and it's like, "Yeah, okay, we're good." And it's
you
like,
passed the test. Wait,
right?
what? What? Is that what happened? That was the test?
I
felt like they tried to give him a little, like they tried to open the door a little bit when he was going to change Mina, and he's like, "Oh no, I can't do this." And it's like, really? Like you're
this is the line you won't cross after 4 centuries?
Like after 4 centuries of yearning, and then like you're murdering people in your path to get to Mina, and you finally have her, and then that's when you're like, you know what? No. I mean, but then like they give him an out, they give him the moral out, the quote unquote moral out, where Mina's like, no, I want this. Totally want this. I'm totally not in your thrall. I am not, hypnotized by you in any way, shape, or form. I am of sound body and mind. I want this. And he's like, well, for king and country. It's just, that was weird.
Well, and it's one of those things where I think it's trying to say that her love is what redeems him. But at the same time, it just seems like an unearned redemption. And the thing is, there is no redemption in the original story. They simply beat Dracula.
Yeah.
Spoilers. But y'all have had several 100 years to read the book. So, there
So
you
I think
go.
even better, in that moment, Tristan would be for Castle in Carpathia,
Right. Yes, indeed. But one last point I want to hit as we're, as we love to say, rounding third, as it were. If you had a magic wand, and Darren, I'll kick this to you first, and you have the opportunity to change one performance, one actor or actress that's not Keanu Reeves, what would it be and why? Are there any other performances, or is simply his so distractingly off?
I'm going to take it in a different direction. So change the performance means I can change anything. And I want to see more of the mad guy in the insane asylum. I want him to get out, and I want him to interact and be the servant of Dracula. Like, I felt he was so interesting in what he was doing that I'm like, okay, and then now is when he gets out, it actually serves his master. But we didn't get any of that. I wanted him to be the foil, the one who protects him during the day or something, and just or kidnap somebody for him, or push a box of dirt around, do something. But we pretty much all we got was the insight he knew from that one moment with Mina, and that was it. Like, that was his purpose. So that's what I wanted. I wanted more of him, because I think it was really well done.
And it's legendary rocker Tom Waits that plays him, and I think he does a terrific job.
That's why it feels like such a waste.
Yeah, well, and I understand what you're saying, but again, this is one of those things where, staying true to the book, Renfield stays in the asylum the entire time. He never actually, in this, they follow the old 1930s thing where Renfield was the first one to go over to Dracula. That does not exist in the book. Renfield is simply, like Lucy, It's Dracula's evil influence simply snaps a guy from a distance who's aware of him, who knows that he's coming. He's like an acolyte of evil, and he just, that's where he is. But if they're going to depart from the story enough to graft on this Mina love story, I agree with you. Why not break Renfield out and have him cause some mischief for a scene or something like that?
It could have been interesting also where if he's causing mischief, then maybe we had some other character that was on the outside looking in. So they're not part of the Mina story. They're just a citizen. And then maybe he becomes the fall of like, oh, he must have released that wolf from the zoo. And like all these strange goings ons were the whim of a madman. Like, because then the everyday populace has to go about their lives. They have to have some sort of answer for the craziness that's been happening to London. Maybe something like that could have happened.
I think that's a good solution. That's a good organic thing instead of having that toss away thing. It was like, oh, Renfield went over there and he went crazy and now he's fine in the asylum. Having him be part of the story where he, becomes a scapegoat and that's how he gets put in the asylum, sort of thing. I like that.
Or
I
put
like
back
that.
in, or dies, or dies for Dracula.
And why on earth would what's his name? The guy who ran the asylum live in the asylum, not just in the asylum, but in the middle
there.
with windows surrounding him.
He wakes up, puts on his box helmet, and
that's where he takes Mina? He's like, you'll be safe here. Why?
Yeah, really? This seems the least safe place to be.
Now, hold on a second. I think you gentlemen just don't understand exactly how expensive real estate was in London at the time. And so he was just
there's a courtyard in this asylum. I could put a little cottage right in the middle of it and be perfectly rent-free.
There you go.
My commute is nothing.
I will tweak it this way, Tristan. Is there anything about this movie you wouldn't change?
I wouldn't change?
Yes.
That score, it's so memorable.
Monica Bellucci. No. Let's see. Anything I wouldn't change? Anthony Hopkins. Although I would change it because I would do what Darren said. I would have him be the framing device. Like maybe not make him the protagonist, but make him a full-fledged integrated narrator where he's a part of it and he's there for the entire thing. And maybe he's the one, like he's the investigator. Like he stumbles upon what happens to Lucy. And maybe he makes a connection to Mina, but doesn't tell her, so the audience knows a little bit earlier, and Dracula doesn't know. And like maybe, see, now I'm saying like, oh, what I wouldn't change is maybe everything.
You basically want to remake it like the Hugh Jackman Van Helsing, is what you're saying.
No, nobody wants to remake that.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody
I saw that
wants
sucker
to
in the
that movie.
theater.
So did I, and I was angry when I left.
Look,
I felt
crossbows
so angry.
totally work that way. I don't get. You just have to say gas powered, and you could do whatever you want.
I think when I saw
steampunk powered,
when I saw Hugh Jackman's Van Helsing, there was like one scene where I think like, was it the Frankenstein guy was like swinging across a chasm, and my reaction in the theater was out loud to say, "Oh, come on!" Like but
you guys don't get it. The gear ratio in the hand things, you squeeze them like 3 times, and they spin fast enough to cut things. I don't know.
You know what?
Know. I can't.
You're the one that makes these wonderful inventions that I've seen, so maybe you could make something like that work, Darren. I just couldn't. And I'll go ahead and admit that. And I'll go ahead and admit that we're at the part that I'm now dreading, which is to find out what you gentlemen have rated Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Gary Oldman as Dracula. I think I know where we're going to go with Tristan, so I want to build toward the positive here. So we'll start with you, Tristan. Out of a scale of 5 exploding blood bedrooms, how many do you give this film?
Well, considering what I've said through the entire film and about how I turn off the movie going, good Lord, that was a horrible movie. Like I thought the structure was terrible. I thought the acting was god awful. I thought the story totally needed to be retooled. The romance plot was completely out of place and felt grafted on. And that's from somebody who hasn't read the novel, but knew it just felt added on and weird. And it's just, I appreciated certain things about it, but honestly, like if I was being nice, I'll give it 2 non-sequential Lucy nipples. That's what I would give it.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Darren, let's try to move down a more positive, rickety pathway on the edge of a cliff on the way to the castle here. And how many butt hairdos out of 5 do you give this film?
Along with Tristan, I'm also going to give it a 2. Again, maybe without the extra dose of nostalgia, I think from seeing it a couple decades ago and just having it be, something to pop on maybe in the fall or enjoy it. I was like, what is going on? I could follow the plot, and the plot made sense of kind of where they were going, but it was a, swerve left, swerve right story of like, and then Van Helsing's here, and then and now we're going back, and we're gonna go by boat, and they're gonna go by ship, and then this is happening, and but for looking on to what he did and trying to set it in a different time of filmmaking, I definitely agree with Tristan. I think the greatest thing out of it is Anthony Hopkins' portrayal, and Gary Oldman's portrayal is good. I think of what he's trying to do and the overtop, of what it's a caricature almost. It's this larger than life portrayal, and I haven't given too much mental thought to like who else could have played that kind of a role, but he originated it and owned it and took it where it needed to go. So I'm going to give it 2 boxes of dirt.
Well, there you go. I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna save the day, as any true hero should, riding along the pathway, battling the Count's gypsies, and like Dracula says, I love you too much, and so I give this a 4 out of 5. I think that the absolute visual bravado of it, I think that the score, I think that the fact that this is Coppola unrestraining himself and leaning into something a little more experimental in the way that he sets things up, and something a little more symbolic, whereas Coppola's other works that I've seen tend to be very straightforward types of stories. This is him moving out of his comfort zone, and I think what is produced is something that is really interesting, and that even though now that I'm old enough to have kids, I was very uncomfortable about the idea that they might walk in the room while I'm watching certain scenes that seem like a Skinamax movie. I do think that this is something where Coppola just wanted to go crazy with it. And I like that he goes crazy with it. And I'm there. I'm plugged into it. I dig it. I like it. I think that each scene in this is so visually interesting as to overcome what are unquestionable deficits. You want to talk about things to fix? They had Cary Elwes in the movie. You replace Keanu Reeves with Cary Elwes, and the movie is instantly better because you have somebody who actually, can do a British accent for many reasons, and is also a terrific actor. And it's like the problem solved right there. Done. It's finished. Like that's it. I give it a 4 out of 5. My love knows no bounds, and I will always return to this film. So that's where I stand. That's where all 3 of us stand with it. Tristan, if people want to come at you for all that you have said and try to burn down all of the boxes of earth that you have gathered in your home, where can they find you online?
Well, all my boxes of dirt came from the Midwest. And if you want to find me, you can find me online at the Insane Robin at Twitter and Letterboxd. And you can also find me on right here at the Nerd Party. Go to thenerdparty.com and listen to all of our backlogged episodes of Houselights. We got a lot of great episodes and a lot of great directors that we talk about, and also a show that's going on right now called Second Contact, a Lower Decks commentary podcast. It's exactly how it sounds, and it's a lot of fun. And we're wrapping up actually 2 days from this recording. So actually, the day that this is released is the day that we have the end of the second season of Lower Decks commentary. So please check it out. It's a lot of fun.
Have you decided if you're covering Prodigy, Tristan? I'm curious.
We haven't decided yet. We have had a few people email us and talk to us and ask us to do that. I don't think that we would change I don't think we would do another podcast, like another show.
Right.
I think we would just do these as bonus episodes. I think what we're going to do is we're going to watch the first episode of Prodigy and see if we can get into it. Because if we don't like it or if we hate it, then we don't want to force ourselves into a corner and have to podcast about it. But we are open to it. So if you guys are listening to this and you're fans of Second Contact, let us know by finding us on social media, and let us know if you want us to do a Prodigy podcast.
And Darren, where can people find you out there?
They can go to my website, drsci-fi.com, DRSCIFI, where I have my Stormtrooper troop blogs, project build videos, and my online store, and just everything that I'm working on. Lots of irons in the fire, as it were. They can also listen to me here on the Nerd Party Network on 2 other shows, Maker's Method, where Derek Young and I talk about being makers and sometimes interview makers, and City Alpha 3, a Star Trek podcast with Philip and Daniel, as we currently are talking about Star Trek in all of its aspects.
And you can find me resting in the dirt of my sacred homeland at Castle Junkie online and on Letterboxd, and here on the Nerd Party Network, co-hosting a show called Aggressive Negotiations, a Star Wars podcast that I co-host with Matthew Rushing that so far has no vampires in it, but I'm going to see what I can do to change that. And so until next time, keep the seats warm, keep the popcorn fresh, and be sure to come back next time as we review Jack, the next entry in House of Coppola.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.